Good morning. Good morning, members of Willowdale, friends, enemies, whoever is tuning in this Sabbath morning. Here we are in 2021, still in lockdown. If anything, it seems the virus, the pandemic, the numbers are worse than maybe they have been in the past. So things are certainly still restricted. Way back a number of months ago, we probably would have hoped by this time we would be here together, but we're not in that situation yet. We've had a couple of Sabbaths where we have not had a service streamed from here at Willowdale. We've joined with our sister churches across the Ontario Conference in a lovely time of prayer and focus about what we're doing as a church community. But we're back here with the service coming from Willowdale again. This is the fellowship hall I'm in. It's quite brisk and cool in here right now. This is the place where we would often, after our services, be gathering together around the tables, in some cases elbowing our ways up to the tables with the food so that we get the best selection. Hopefully not just doing that, but also visiting with one another and just enjoying some time together. We can't meet here right now, and for some people, there's concern about what does that mean, which is interesting because we're going to be focusing today, this Sabbath, on religious liberty, as we do every year, a special focus in January on religious liberty. And these are interesting times that we live in. People have the question about, well, is it fair that we can't meet as a church? Why are we not in essential service? Is it an affront to our rights and our religious freedom that we can't gather here, that we are under the same restrictions with regard to gathering and things like that as the rest of the community? And that's a question that certainly happens in many parts of the world. In some parts of the world, it's true that it seems that times of crisis become an opportunity for governments to further restrict particularly religious minorities. So that is an issue. What about in North America? Well, you've probably heard and read that there are churches that protest. There are churches that have raised legal challenges in the United States and in Canada against federal governments or state provincial governments. You know, is this right? Are you restricting religion unfairly? I think here in Ontario, if I look at what's happened, yes, this is a moving target, and yes, there are inconsistencies, it seems, sometimes in the restrictions that don't seem to play out equally across the board. But in general here in Ontario, I would have to say that there have been provisions made for religious organizations like churches, Christian churches, to be able to continue to have services. So I'm not sure if that's our greatest threat. You know, we live in interesting times. This last year has shown us that freedom and religious liberty and rights and equality, we have seen blatantly played out that even here in North America and Canada and the United States of America, things are not always all equal and fair and right and just as we would hope that they would be. And we have a fascination, sometimes almost a compulsion, it seems, an obsession, watching what happens in the United States. And that's, of course, of importance to us because what happens there, a world leader country, does affect us as their closest neighbors here in Canada. But I would say that we should also pay attention to what's happening here in Canada. The last few years, I have seen things that I would have never imagined really seeing here. And I think some of our threats are not whether we can be in this fellowship hall elbow to elbow right now, or whether or not, if we were here, we were wearing a mask. Some of the threats that concern me is seeing a change, a shift in thinking in society where I see an emboldened sense of entitlement on behalf of governments to more and more, even just this week, hearing about ideas of more and more the government will decide what is truth and what is acceptable and what can be said and what cannot be said. Emboldened statements and decisions and actions and withdrawal of government functions against certain beliefs. And as Christians, some of the beliefs that we hold to are more and more being vilified, are more and more being categorized as hateful, as inappropriate, as untrue, as dangerous. And I think we need to pay attention to that. If there was ever a time when what we've been doing for well over a century in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, trying to promote in our community the idea of the importance of religious liberty, I don't know if there's a time when it's more important than right now. Every year we have a focus on our Liberty magazine, which we send over 1 million copies to thought leaders to help bring before them the idea of the importance of religion. We live in this balance. We don't want a situation where we are enforcing Christian belief or morality upon people. That separation between church and state is a very important aspect of society. And there are components within Christianity and certainly all other religions that would like to control and enforce, and we always want to guard against that. I think right now in Canada, a shockingly, increasingly secular society that we live in, I'm not sure that's our greatest danger right now. It's more the idea of, do we as Christians even continue to have the right to hold the beliefs that we have and be able to state them in a respectful way and even have a say in society. And more there's a sense that our feelings are dangerous and we need to be protected against. People need to be protected against even Christian viewpoint. And that's serious. So we do want to defend the right to be able to be a part of society, a respectful part of society that can have a contributing voice. So we're at the Liberty magazine. Every year we invite people to contribute to the work of religious liberty in the church on a global basis and a North American basis. When you give to the Religious Liberty Offering, what does that money use for? It sponsors the Liberty magazine subscriptions to high-level government officials, federal level, state level, provincial level, and local level, to prominent social and religious leaders throughout North America, and it's also used to support what is called the North American Division Litigation Fund. And those are resources that are used to defend and preserve religious liberty in court for individual people in individual situations when needed. And then a portion of the offering comes back to the local union. For us, it's the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Canada, to help with religious liberty promotion and education. So we send out this magazine, Liberty. It's compelling. You know, I was just flipping through this one that they send, and I ended up reading all of the articles. An article from Clifford Goldstein, always thought-provoking, about the whole idea of the things that are happening to us, like this pandemic. Is this God's judgment on us for our wickedness as a society? A whole article on religion and the pandemic, and where is the line between our rights to practice our religion and being a part of society and safety procedures. And a very interesting article called The Bridge about John Lewis and in the 1960s and the March for Racial Freedom and some of the brutalities and atrocious things that happened, and yet the outcome of that. Very, very compelling. So if you are interested in a subscription to the Liberty magazine yourself, it's $6 a year, comes every other month, begins with the May issue. It's $6. It's been this price for as long as I can remember. It's a subsidized price, $6 Canadian. You can subscribe for yourself or someone else. We're not here at church where we can give you these little sheets that you can fill out, but you can send that into the church office and say, I want a subscription, or please send a subscription to these people. You submit the $6, and that will be taken care of. Also, we have a list from Willowdale Church of thought leaders that we sponsor subscriptions to. So if you have an idea of a thought leader in our community, maybe a lawyer, a judge, perhaps a medical person, a community leader, whatever, you can send that name into the church office as well, and we can consider putting that on our list of subscriptions that we sponsor as Willowdale. All right, at this point I am frozen because we don't have any heat on in here, and you're probably done hearing me. This is going to be another good Sabbath. We have a chance to be together. We have the freedom to do this live stream service. I'm thankful for that freedom. For as long as we have it, let's worship God in the liberty that He has given us today.